Hello, amazing business owners. Welcome back to another episode of Bold with Brooke, the podcast and place to be to actually make a living doing what you love. I am so excited to be back. As you can hear, my voice is not quite at 100%, but it is far better than it was. I am super excited that you get to hear today's episode because after it was recorded, I lost one of my team members in the podcast process, suffered a little bit. I lost 2 recordings entirely. And when I was going back through all my backups, I'm super excited to tell you that I found one of them, and that is today's episode. So it is a little bit of a throwback, but it has never been published before. And we are going to talk all about marketing, about aligned marketing and authentic marketing. And what the hell does that look like? And should you be doing the things that everyone says you should be doing in marketing, even if you hate them? So let's listen in. I did want to make a little note that anytime you hear the words business straight up, just know the name has changed. So if you hear any links that are businessstraightup.com, you can still use them, but the updated link is boldwithbrooke.com. Let's listen in. Hello, amazing business owners. Welcome back to another episode of Business Straight Up with Brooke Summer, the podcast to be at, to listen to embrace if you want to be a creative business owner and actually make a living doing what you love, because the cliche of the starving artist needs to be kicked to the curb, right? I know I always say that. I used to say can suck it, and some people were like, I don't like that. Whatever, it's okay. Either way, it needs to go. I am so excited for today's conversation. It is all about something that I love. We are going to talk about marketing. What the hell do I do to build a marketing strategy? What does that look like? How do I get all of these moving pieces in place so that it's something that's manageable and will not completely take over my life? All of these things are included in today's episode, and I cannot wait for you to hear the interview with Katlynn Pyatt. She runs Authentic Branding, and we're going to talk about what being authentic actually means, because that is not just a buzzword. It is something we need to actually pay attention to, right? So I am super excited to get into today's episode. As always, if you have any questions, just reach out in the community at businessstraightup.com/community. You can also reach out on Instagram at businessstraightup. That is all one word. And yes, there are 3 S's in the middle after business and starting straight. Some people get confused on that. So look me up on Instagram. Come join the community. Let's have a conversation. I would love to help you with your marketing, with anything you need help in your business. If I can't figure it out, I know I have a resource for someone who can. So reach out, ask for help. The answer to any unasked question is always no. It can never hurt to ask. I cannot wait for you to hear today's episode. Let's dive right in. Hello there, gorgeous business owners. Welcome to Bold with Brooke, the podcast for creative business owners to learn the marketing and business skills they need to get more clients and design their lives on their terms so we can actually make a living doing what we love. Am I right? I am your host, Brooke Summer, and I'm an entrepreneur, educator, and champion of women, reminding them to embrace and step into their power. I'm bringing almost 20 years of business and marketing experience straight to you to help you get more clients and run a sustainable and successful business without burnout or overwhelm. Let's jump into today's topic. Welcome back, amazing business owners. I am so excited to have you here today. Any business owners, photographers, creatives, anyone that actually wants to make a living doing what they love. It is time for the cliche of the starving artist to get kicked to the curb, right? Today's guest is a brilliant marketing expert who is a professionally certified marketer, a new business owner, and a mom of 3. Katlynn Pyatt and I have talked previously about marketing and the things we see, the things we don't see enough of. And I'm so excited to have her here today. Thank you so much for joining me, Katlynn.
Yes, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So what has brought you kind of to where you're at? Tell me more about your story and what your journey has looked like so far.
Sure. Well, I spent 12 years in corporate marketing, and most of that time was focused in marketing management, creating marketing strategies. I worked at a financial institution, creating those marketing strategies, working directly with the CMO to create brand strategies and then focus on marketing management. And I was really fortunate while I was there. They were a great organization that supported a lot of continuing education. So that's where I got all
Yes.
of my continuing education things. So that professional certification in marketing management. I have certifications from Cornell University in business strategy and marketing analytics, and just really had this amazing run in the corporate world doing marketing. And I absolutely love marketing. But I was kind of getting to the point where I knew I wanted to make some kind of change. I didn't know what
Mhm.
it was. I just knew I didn't want to be kind of stuck in this like rat race of going
Yes.
to a 9 to 5 and
Mhm.
only being able to take time off and like travel and go see my family
With
and do things with my
permission.
kids. Yes, yeah, with someone else's permission.
Yes.
And I started kind of thinking about like what would this change look like, and I really had no idea. And thought it was going to be just a new job, something different. I had been in the financial world for probably almost 8 years at that time, and was like, I really just, I don't know, I don't want to do financial marketing anymore. Like, I just want a new challenge. And worked with a business coach, and I actually contacted him thinking he was going to help me find a new job. And he was like, I think you would really love running your own business.
Mm.
And my husband was like, finally, he had been begging me for a really long time. And so we decided to kind of take that leap. We started saving. I started building my business. I had planned to go out on my own after I had my third daughter, or my third child, second daughter. And actually was laid off with most of my team in January of
Mm.
2020. So I was 5 months
Yes.
pregnant, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to get another job, right? Like, not because I'm pregnant, although that probably wasn't really going to help. Like, let's be honest.
Right.
Nobody would say that they're not going to hire you because of that, but
Right.
it's
Just because it's illegal doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
correct, correct. So, we were like, we are close enough. We had been saving for a while. We had kicked it into high gear when there were talks about, a recession, and there were talks about budget cuts at my job for several months before I was laid off. And everybody knows the first place companies go to save money is the marketing department. So we had saved, and we were in a good spot and decided to just kind of leap in and go for it. And I thought, with all of my experience in corporate marketing, I could really help small businesses. I could help entrepreneurs
Yes.
and show them how to create marketing plans that they could be really confident in. So they didn't feel like they were wasting their money and just throwing things at the wall, hoping they were stick, not seeing the
Mhm.
ROI that they deserved. And then with all of my experience in marketing management and creating a system to organize an entire team, I was like, I can teach them the tools and the tricks to make marketing efficient and effective for them. So it also doesn't monopolize all their time,
Mm.
because there's like a million things to do as a business owner, right?
Right.
So,
Yes.
you know, here, let me teach you all of these tools and these tricks that the pros use that no one's really talking about. And hopefully just make your lives a little bit easier and make you really confident in marketing.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I so love that. I love marketing personally. I know so
Yes.
many people don't, but let's talk marketing. Let's go into this.
Yes.
I know that a marketing strategy is a must, and I know that I
Mhm.
work with my students on things like this all the time, but
Yes.
so many business owners fight back and they'll say they're just going to post on Instagram
Mhm, mhm.
or they're only going to work word of mouth instead of
Yes.
really looking at the bigger picture. Why would a business owner need a marketing strategy? What does it actually do for us in the big picture?
Yeah, in the big picture, A marketing strategy, this is going to sound really obvious when I say it, but it makes you more strategic, right? Like
Yes.
you have to kind of align your strategies with your business goals. So when you say like, hey, I'm just going to work on, and I've got friends who have done this, or I'm like, please can I work with you? Like I have so many ideas. And they're like, I'm just going to stick to posting on Instagram. I'm really
Mm,
comfortable there. So there's a couple of things. So first of all, when you put all of your eggs in one basket, what happens when that
yes.
basket isn't filling up with those eggs?
Mhm.
That is a problem. Then you're left scrambling. And when you're scrambling, you're not being strategic about how you're growing your business. And being putting a plan together and understanding the marketing strategies that you want to use and having well-rounded marketing strategies that put you in a lot of different channels means that you can really align your marketing efforts to your business goals.
Yes.
A lot of times I see businesses of any size. This isn't like just small businesses or just entrepreneurs. It happens in large organizations too, where they sort of like separate their business operations and goals
Mhm.
from their marketing. And at the end of the day, like your marketing is there to move the needle for your business. So if
Yes.
you don't have a strategy in place, you're probably not moving that needle. So whether it's brand awareness, whether it is revenue, increasing your revenue, um, you name it, whatever that goal is that's going to grow or scale your business, if you're marketing, if you don't have a strategy, you're not, how are you growing your business? How are you meeting that
Right.
goal?
They go hand in hand.
Yes, they do.
Oh my gosh, yes. For anyone that has never really looked at that big picture strategy,
Mhm.
how can they start to really build one for their own business? What does that look like for them?
So it is not as hard as it sounds to build a marketing plan. And I know that sounds crazy because I teach people and I work with clients on creating marketing plans. But and the simplest way to start is to look at your 3 to 5 year plan for your business. Where do you need to be in 3 to 5 years? What does that
Mhm.
look like for you? And that really, it can be anything. Okay. It could be, I'll use myself as an example. In 3 to 5 years, I want to be at a point where I have replaced or exceeded my previous salary,
Mhm.
right? So it could be when I was at the credit union, the mortgage department, for example, their 3 to 5 year goal was to change to flip flop the makeup of their loan portfolio from mostly refinances to purchases. So, your 3 to 5 year goal, what does that look like? Where do you need to be or want to be in your business? Okay, that's
Yes.
step one. Step two is actually, sorry, I'm going to go back. Step one is knowing who your target audience is.
Yes.
So step one, know your target audience. Step two, set that 3 to 5 year goal. And then the next step, step three, you want to create a 12-month objective. So something, a SMART goal, something that you can measure, is attainable, follows that SMART format, and that it's quantifiable for the next 12 months. What are you going to do? Is that going to be, using myself as an example again, here's the amount of revenue I need to make this year so that in 3 to 5 years I'm at the point where I've exceeded my previous salary.
Yes.
So just what do the next 12 months need to look like, right? So you've got 3 to 5 years, and then we're going to focus in and say, like, what do the next 12 months need to look like? And then
Yes.
you start putting your strategies together and saying, what are the actual marketing things, the marketing strategies I'm going to do? Am I going to do podcast guest episodes? Am I going to focus on social media? Is that going to be
Mhm.
something I do? Am I going to launch a course? Am I going to go to a certain number of networking events, right? This can be anything. Like the world is your
Yes.
oyster when it comes to how you're going to market your business. You just have to know what you're going to do, and if it fits in your budget. Like what
Mhm.
dollars do you have available? If I can't afford to buy the software, if I want to buy software to launch a course, but I can't afford to do that, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should reprioritize my marketing strategies. So it's pretty simple. Set that 3 to 5 year goal, get your 12 months, your next 12 months kind of narrowed in and focused, and then start mapping out those strategies and then underneath those, bullet point out what you need to do to make those happen. If you want to
Yes.
launch a course, what are the things that have to happen? You have to do
Mhm.
some market research, you have to draft the course, outline the course, and then start putting some deadlines to it so you keep yourself on
Yes.
track. It's all about
Absolutely.
making it actionable at the end of the day. So,
Yes.
getting those strategies and those tactics with some deadlines in there for yourself and timelining it out, that's where you start to see the progress.
I know that for so many of my students, they get overwhelmed with all of the possibilities, which is
Yeah.
very easy to do. And so, what I have started suggesting is choose something that you want to promote every single month and
Mhm.
stick with that.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
then that aligns all of your marketing stuff, just like you said. Then start making those bullet lists, right, of what needs to be done because you
absolutely.
know what you're working towards for the month.
Yeah, that's smart advice, and I think, um, as and this happens a lot. I see this with coaches, myself included sometimes. I have to remember, like, I'm a marketer and I enjoy doing the marketing things and
Yes.
I know how to do the marketing things, but when it comes to, like, clients and things like that, do do what you have the capacity for, right? Like, don't
Yes.
overextend yourself. One thing a month, that's perfect. Like, align your strategies with that. So if you're going to promote maybe a webinar or something, if you like
Mhm.
to host webinars, or maybe you have like a little ebook or something that you've put together. Maybe you are a sales coach, or I don't know, maybe you brew tea and you're going to
Yeah.
teach other people how to brew tea. I don't know. Whatever it is, that's perfect. Pick that one thing and focus on it. You don't have to overcomplicate it and feel like you have to do a ton of stuff that is just going to sap your energy and, like, leave you no time to do, like, the rest of your business because there's still tons of
Absolutely.
stuff to get done.
Yes, I love that. I think that so many people, myself included, get overwhelmed and then we just do nothing, and that
Yes,
doesn't serve
yes.
anyone.
And the other thing too that I always tell my clients is, like, play to your strengths. So I don't love doing social media. Like,
Mhm.
I do it because I think it's a very necessary component of creating a presence online for small businesses and entrepreneurs. But, like, that's not my jam. I don't, even personally, I don't love necessarily spending a ton of time on social media. So the things I do love doing, though, are talking to people
Mhm.
and teaching them. So I host a podcast, I go on
Yes.
podcasts, I host workshops, and those are also ways that I'm promoting my business and that I'm marketing my business.
Mhm.
So play to your strengths and the things you like doing. If you do love social media, great. Like, map out a plan and figure out how you're going to spend your time on social media. If you don't, like, there's plenty of other ways you can do it.
Right? For anyone listening that is on board and they're like, "Yes, I'm ready to start marketing." And then they sit down and they're like, "Shit, sorry, I swear.
No, you're fine.
Where do I go now?" How can they build this strategy into something that is extremely manageable? I know we talked about breaking it down to 3 to 5 years and then the
Yeah.
12-month and then from there, but there's so many options for marketing, and you said play to their strengths. What are some of the different things that you've seen people implement successfully?
So I always recommend starting with, like, the free stuff, right?
Mhm.
Because that's everybody loves a free 99 price tag. Like,
Right?
so get kind of your basics in place, get your social media set up, um, get things like a Google My Business so that you can ask for referrals and
Mhm.
testimonials and people can plug them in to Google. So when someone is
Yes.
searching for your product or your service, you're popping up. Um, Look for opportunities to partner with other people. So if you're like, I don't know where to start and I'm starting at zero, like, that's where everyone starts, first of
Mhm.
all. So you shouldn't feel bad about starting at zero,
Right?
right? But get some of those free things, your social media, your Google My Business,
Mhm.
put a website together, even if you do it yourself. And it's
Yes.
not, you know, it's not, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? It just has to kind of tell your story and explain what you've got to offer so that your target audience can see it and you have somewhere to drive traffic that isn't just your social media channels.
Yes.
You know, get those things in place. But even if that seems overwhelming, pick one thing. Pick one thing. So if that's going to be getting your social media channels set up, get your social media channels up and ready, and then look for a social media scheduler. There's tons of tools out there that are free or super inexpensive, like $10 a month, that like you could sit down once a month or once a week and plug your content into and schedule it, and then it just posts automatically for you. Like,
Yes.
so you don't even have to worry about it,
It's
right?
life.
Like, yeah, and it doesn't
So
so
worth it.
yeah, so start in the places, start in kind of the obvious places. Where is your ideal audience going to look for you? Because
Mhm.
if you're going to focus on one thing, right? If you're going to say I don't have time or I'm like too overwhelmed to do all the things, think about who your ideal customer is, your target audience, and weigh where they would go to find you and start there, right? Because you gotta get in front of them to make
Yes.
sales.
Right?
And so, if your ideal client or customer logs on to Instagram first thing in the morning,
Mhm.
but you are over on LinkedIn, like there's a huge disconnect, right? And they can't find you. And then you're gonna be like, well,
Yes.
I'm hearing crickets, like no one is coming. So where
Yes.
do they go? How would you start looking for your service and start there, right? Just
Yes.
just pick one thing to start on. And then as you
Yes.
get comfortable, you can add things in.
And those baby steps make everything so much easier.
For sure, for
Oh
sure.
my
Like
gosh.
nobody goes into their own business on day one with everything built. If they're telling you that it was like their empire was built and perfect out of the gate, they're probably lying to you.
Right?
Right? Like they everybody goes in phases, even a year and some change into my business, like I'm still doing work on my website. I'm still changing things. I am
It's never
still
ending.
it's never ending.
Yeah.
It really isn't. So it's never gonna end. So you're never gonna start if you're waiting for that. So pick the one thing. Where does your audience show up? And then meet them there.
Yes. I love marketing. I don't even know why, but I do, probably because I
Because
like to talk.
it's awesome.
I know it's so much fun, but so many business owners do not, and they freak out at even the thought of
Yeah.
it. And what's funny when I watch this, though, is that when they start to become more adept at it, and dare I
Mhm.
say, even enjoying it,
Yes.
is when they really have confidence in what they're doing and
Yes.
when they discover how to properly convey what it is that they do. We
Yeah.
hear all the time, I feel like it's the buzzword right now, be authentic. And while I
Mhm.
agree completely, I feel like so many people don't share what that really looks like. How can a business owner really nail that messaging to be authentic in their brand?
Yes. So this is something that even as the owner of a company called Authentic Branding and Marketing,
Mhm.
I still have to work on because it requires this level of vulnerability
Mhm.
that is sometimes really hard to get past, especially like I'm a pretty private person.
Yes.
So I don't, it's hard to kind of get past this. And I recently got some really great advice actually from a guest on my podcast. His name is Mike Ilamelli. And he was like, identify like 6 emotions that you really identify with. And then map out or kind of jot down like how those 6 emotions like show up in your in your business. So for me, I like my clients to feel very confident in their marketing.
Mhm.
Likewise, I'm very confident in my marketing. So I I look at that list kind of on a regular basis and I say, how can I share something that relates to one of these emotions?
Mhm.
And I'll be honest, I don't share a ton about my personal life. Um, I kind of pick and choose, but I'm never going to be one who like splashes my kids across my social media channels,
Yeah.
or like, I don't know, snapshots every living moment of my life and then post it to my business channels. But I show up authentically in other ways. Like I
Mhm.
am really passionate about marketing, and that education, that empowerment that I like other people to feel, that was one of the words that really resonated with me, was empowerment. I find ways to empower my audience. So for me,
Mhm.
that's knowledge. And so look for ways that feel good to you. So if it doesn't feel good to you, it's not going to come across authentically to your audience.
Mhm.
So like just nix that right out of the gate. Like I tried sharing pictures of my kids and I was like, I just hate this. Like I don't love
Yeah.
it. I
Yeah.
stopped doing it.
Yep.
But I really liked that advice, and it's something that I started following, and it's really changed the game for me. Like, find those like 6 emotions that really resonate with either how you feel about your business or how you want your clients and customers to feel about your business. And then create messages and content based on those feelings because that's going to
Yes.
be very genuine, right? That's how you're
Yes.
going. That's where you can't fake that stuff, right?
Yes.
So,
I heard Sarah Blakely say yesterday, something about what are her filters for Instagram. She goes, I didn't want to get on Instagram. Everyone told me I should be on there.
mm,
So I said, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it in a way that feels good to me. So what are my filters? And I'm so sorry, I can't remember all of them. It was a book launch yesterday, but I really loved thinking about it from that perspective. And it's kind of the
oh,
same thing with the emotions, right? Of
yeah,
what are the filters that I want to put all of my information through because they're so integral to my brand?
yeah, absolutely. I Another thing I'm a big fan of. So I took the 6 emotions concept, and I'm a big fan of creating key messages.
Hmm.
So, and that's not like pretty much any marketer is going to talk about key messages. So that's like not revolutionary. But I took those like 6 emotions and then I started creating like some key messages, which are just like, I I don't know, it sounds super obvious to me, but they're like the points that you want to make on
Hmm.
social media and or in any of your marketing really. And I created those and I use those as a way to just like pull things off the shelf and
Yes.
get it out there because they are very true to like how I feel about my business.
Hmm.
um, they generally come off as being pretty genuine and authentic, or at least I hope so. If
Yes.
not, I hope somebody would be like, this sounds weird. But at the end of the day, too, I mean, just use your gut. Like,
Yeah.
if it doesn't feel good to you because you're trying to copy somebody else or you are trying to put a persona in place,
Yes.
like it's not going to it's not going to feel authentic to you.
No.
And the moment you don't feel authentic, it reads as disingenuous to your audience. And they're
Yes.
like, they might not know why, right? But it's going to be like this subconscious, like, something is weird here.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I trust this person. Like,
It dilutes what makes you special.
yeah, yeah, and it kind of makes other people put their guard up and go like, "Ooh,
Yes.
like slimy salesman alert. What is this
Mm.
person going to try to sell me that I don't need?" And
Yes.
they're not gonna be able to like recognize why,
Hmm.
but it's most likely gonna tie back to the fact that like you don't feel good about whatever it is you're doing.
Yep.
And so it's gonna read disingenuous. You
Yes.
can't fake it.
I love that. I think that it takes time too, right? Like
Yeah,
what you know now for your business and what you really want to convey right now might be different even in 6 months. And
absolutely.
having the giving yourself the permission to be flexible
Mhm.
in that is so important because I know my work has changed. I've been a boudoir photographer for 12 years now, and I've
Yeah,
been a teacher for 5, and my messages have changed consistently. And I've been in
absolutely.
business for a long time. So it's so important to allow yourself to grow and change. Even
Yeah.
if people latch onto something, it's okay to let it evolve.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's going to happen naturally,
Mhm.
and the more you fight it, the less authentic you're gonna feel, right? Like
Yes.
I went through that recently. I was like, I knew I needed to make a target audience change, and I've been like holding out on it.
Mhm.
And everything I started to do more and more felt like it was not really me. It wasn't very authentic because I knew I was kind of like holding back
Yeah.
and not being very true to some of
Mhm.
those feelings and some of the key points that I knew I needed to make.
Yes.
And you can tell. So like that evolution is going to happen. Everybody goes through it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love this conversation. Marketing is like near and dear to my heart. It's
Yeah.
so funny when I look back on my jobs that I've had throughout my life. They've all been things that have kind of prepared me for where I'm at. So, travel and marketing and
Yeah.
customer service and
Oh
tech and
yeah.
all of these things. So, it's amazing to see that growth. I
Yeah.
know that you are a mom of 3. And
Yes.
even for the listeners who are not parents, because we do have some that are not parents,
Yeah.
we are all
For sure.
juggling something,
Yep.
right? Like
Yep.
family, friends, life, kids, maybe
Absolutely.
a day job on on top of our businesses. So there's so many things. Do
Yeah.
you believe that work-life balance is attainable, or do you think it's a myth and just something that we have to accept that there are certain seasons?
Hmm. I Maybe I am just unwilling to accept that there are seasons. Like, certainly there are moments, right?
Hmm.
There are moments where it's not going to feel balanced. Like, you're going to work a little bit later on any
Yep.
given night, like on a given night than maybe you want to. But I really do believe that there is harmony that can be achieved. I don't think it's ever going to be like perfectly
Yes.
and like
That's
perfectly
a good
balanced.
word for it. Yes.
Yes, I don't think it's ever gonna be perfectly balanced, right?
Hmm.
Because, like, on Monday, I might have to stay an hour late for a meeting with
Hmm.
a client, stay an hour late, like, I leave my office. My
Well,
office
yeah.
is at my home. But, like,
Yeah.
I'm logged on and I'm working an hour later than, like, I like to be typically
Hmm.
because I need to meet a client. But the next day or maybe Friday, I'm gonna clock out and like leave my desk and my work behind at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm not gonna look back.
Yes.
You know what like? So I
Yes.
think there is harmony that can be
Hmm.
achieved. And I think it's just kind of giving yourself the grace to know that like if you're trying to seek like a one-to-one balance,
Hmm.
I don't think, like, you're ever going to get there, and I think I think you're stress yourself out trying to,
Yes.
like, hour for hour. I think
Yes.
it's more about looking for that harmony and going, "Okay,
Hmm.
well, if I have to stay late or maybe I've got a really busy 2 weeks with a big project I need to get done,
Hmm.
then after that 2 weeks, I'm going to make an effort and I am going to hold myself accountable to maybe working less than I typically would
Yes.
so that I can kind of come back to that center and come back to a place where I feel really good about both of those things.
Yes. And I actually asked that with the marketing plan in mind because we have to look at the big picture of not just our
Mhm.
business, but our entire life, because
Yeah.
ultimately our business should fit into our lives, not the other way around. Right.
Yes. Yes.
And so chances are you went into business because you love what you do, whether it's like
Mhm.
providing a service or a product, and marketing is another piece of it. So how are we going to fit that into our lives so that we're not working all the time?
Right. Um, so that's where all of the tools and like the
Mhm.
tricks that professional marketers use come in handy. So I mentioned, if you're doing social media, if that's going to be your thing, look for a social media scheduler. So you don't have to, you're not
Yes.
like living by a reminder on your phone every single day to like post
Yes.
something. Um, those again can be free, they can be
Mhm.
really inexpensive, and they automate everything on your social media. So all you have to do is kind of keep an eye on the comments and like pop in and respond to a comment or a DM or something like that.
Yes.
Um, Same thing, I'm a big fan of batching your work. So,
Huge.
that is a game changer,
It is.
especially if you're looking for that harmony, right? That's where I feel
Mhm.
like that harmony really comes into play. Like, I'm gonna have a long day of batching, my content and, like, my podcast or something at the beginning of the month, but then, like,
Mhm.
it's done and it's out of my hands and it's taken care of. Um so look for opportunities to batch it. Use an organization tool. I'm a huge fan of
Yes.
Trello. It's free. It's like the easiest thing to use.
Mhm.
And that can kind of keep you on a schedule so you can see like where you're spending your time. You can plan for those big projects so that you aren't being bombarded at the last minute going like, oh my gosh, I committed to I don't know, I committed to doing some Instagram videos or a presentation with somebody. And like it's 2 days before, now I have to prep for it.
Mhm.
And I'm going to be here late and it's going to stress me out.
Yep.
If you use an organization tool, you can see it coming up and you can plan for it. And so you can
Yes.
work on it a little bit at a time.
Yep.
Scheduling anything you can schedule ahead of time, schedule ahead of time your emails. You can schedule
Yes.
emails ahead of time.
Yes.
So batch anything that you can and schedule anything that is possible for you. There's tools like Zapier that can do tasks and things for you that like
That
you
is
can set
so
them up.
powerful.
Um, I need to be better about it. I set it up for a client, but I honestly haven't used it for myself. And I think I need to
I
like look harder at
I
it.
tried and I sat down and I was like, "Holy shit, this does so much that
Yes.
I just can't do this right now." And then of course I forget. So,
Yes,
but it's
that was the
crazy
impression I
powerful.
got. That's the
Yes.
impression when I set it up for my client. I was like, wow, there's really a lot here. And I don't know if I understand how to like make it all work for me
Mhm.
in a time period that's like realistic for me.
Yes.
Um, but look for those tools. What are some other tools that I am a big fan of? I am a big fan
Asana
of
is my
using
favorite.
I could not get into Asana. I've used it and I feel like there are a ton of people who like love it. And I was like, how am I not figuring this out? It was
Well,
just like not
the
intuitive to
reason
me. And then I
the
like
reason I love Asana over
bounced.
Trello is because it will do the list like Trello does. So you
Mhm.
can drag stuff, but it will also do an itemized list.
Mm,
So
mhm,
it has
mhm,
both, whereas Trello does not,
mhm.
which is what I kind of want both. I'm a
Right, right. No, that
let me
totally
see how
makes
I
sense.
feel kind of girl.
Yes, absolutely. Um, Other tools I'm a huge fan of, I use Slack a ton. Even as
Yes.
somebody like solo in my own business without a team, I use it and I coordinate like vendors and things. So,
Mhm.
my website developer who helps me with my website and he's a good friend of mine. So, um, it works out. It's like a text chain really, but I use it to communicate with my clients. I use it to
Mhm.
communicate with vendors that I'm hiring to do my work, my website developer, my SEO person, my social media person, because it keeps everything out of my
Yes.
email and it just kind of consolidates everything there. I use Trello. You could use Asana in much the same way. You can
Mhm.
organize your vendors there. So look for places too where you can like consolidate that communication and keep it
Mhm.
like out of your email, out of your texts, because that's where stuff gets lost, right? Like
Yes.
that's a graveyard of like anything that needs
Yes.
to happen is
It's
your
so true.
email or your text messages. Um,
Right?
and then truly, honestly, I use an old school, like an actual planner.
Yeah.
Like I set so once I've got my, like, year goals, I
Mhm,
set quarterly goals,
mhm,
and I break them down into quarters,
mhm.
and, then I break them down into months, and then that's how they get I'm, like, next level, probably a little, like, OCD about organizing things, but, I use
I
this
am too, and
model.
I love it.
Yes, I mean, truly, like, it works for me because if I'm not doing those things, I am not getting like, I'm not keeping myself organized.
Yeah.
And this is actually based on a model that I learned in the corporate world. It's called the traction method,
Mhm,
and it basically like you set these year-long goals, you break them down into quarters or what they call rocks, and then you're responsible for figuring out like how you get that rock done. And basically like these are the things that are going to move the needle for your business. And so I take those things, I break them down into quarters, and then on a
mhm.
daily basis I'm just like, what do I need to get done today? Like, I'm looking at what I have mapped out in
Yes.
Trello and I time block it on a
Mhm,
physical piece of paper. And then I try to stick to it. Like, and try is a very key word there. But I think if you're looking to kind of keep yourself organized, so back to like your original question, like look
mhm,
for ways to batch, look for tools that are going to automate for you, and then like time block your days
mhm.
so that you know what you need to get done and you're sticking to it and holding
Yes.
yourself to it.
Oh, I just started doing that. I rebelled against that for so long, especially
Yeah.
as an artist and a creative. I'm like, I'm a free spirit. I want to do what I want to
Oh yeah.
do. And I do still feel that, but blocking off my day has given me so much freedom to be done when I'm done.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's it's a huge thing. When I think about like finding that harmony, that time blocking plays a big part in it, right? Because
Yes.
when I block out my days and I go, and I don't necessarily when I was in the corporate world, I had to like be pretty rigid because a lot of times
Mhm.
like those blocks were meetings that other
Yeah.
people needed me to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
at.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur and somebody who like doesn't answer to anyone except myself, I can be a little bit more like free,
Mhm.
a little less rigid, and say if I want an extra 30 minutes because I'm really in the zone on something, like I can
Mm.
give myself that without being like, oh, nope, you said at 10 o'clock, you're going to switch
Yes.
over to your email. Um, but when I think about that harmony, like that time blocking is what allows me to go like, okay, if I can just get these things done today, then I'm not going to feel bad about turning my computer off at 3 o'clock when my kids get home from school, or
Yes.
about not turning it on at all on
Mhm.
Friday because I'm going to
Yep.
go to the park and I'm going to do whatever it is that I want to do.
Yes.
So, it's kind of a give and take. And sometimes the creative flow just takes over and
It
it doesn't
does.
matter anyway.
It does. It's so true. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much to all of the listeners and business owners and photographers that have joined us. Thank you so much for listening today. I'm truly honored that you pressed play and spent this time with Caitlin and myself. If you, I'm so sorry, I'm jumbling around. Thank you so much for being here, Caitlin.
No
I'm
problem.
glad we could connect. For anyone listening that wants to learn more, where can they find out more about what you offer and connect with you?
Absolutely. So my social media handles are all at Authentic Branding. So you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. My website is getauthenticbranding.com.
Okay.
So anything there, I've got a resource page that I am really proud of. I actually did a lot of work on it in the past few months. But there is a free resource bundle there. So if you need help getting started on your marketing, it comes with a sample marketing plan. So if you listen today and you're like, oh, that sounds really great, I'm never going to remember it. That is there for you. It comes with my favorite free marketing strategies that I like to use right out of the gate. branding elements, the organization tools that I talked about, all that stuff is covered there. And that is free to download. I've got templates and things there. So my resources page, I'm just really proud of. Spent a long time working that out. And then I
Awesome.
also host a podcast. It's called Startup Marketing. So you can find me there nerding out about pretty much anything related to marketing.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here. If you
Yes.
are listening and you're someone that loves to help other people and you know someone that needs this information, maybe they're struggling with marketing, they're overwhelmed in their business, please forward this episode over to them. I know how much Katlynn and I both would appreciate that. If you are thinking, wow, Brooke and Katlynn, this content was amazing, how can I thank you? I have a way you can thank me. If you can head on over to iTunes and leave a review. I know it seems silly and small, but those reviews mean so much to us. It helps me know how I can better serve you, and it helps me get amazing guests like Katlynn. So if you hit pause now, go leave a review. You can screenshot your review before hitting submit and send it to hello@businessstraightedup.com. I have a free thing for you, freebie, and it changes all the time.
That's
So
smart.
I never actually say what it is because it changes all the time. So sometimes it's a free template. Sometimes it's shop credit. Sometimes, we have all sorts of fun stuff. But I'm really excited for everyone listening to start to implement this. So thank you for being here. And for all my listeners, you didn't think I was going to let you get away without homework, right? Homework, action steps.
Yes.
I want you to set aside 15 minutes in your calendar this week. Yes, don't wait. Yes, actually schedule it in your calendar to start walking through these steps so that you can implement a marketing plan. Then come over to the community and share any ahas or takeaways. You can also tag me on Instagram if you'd like, and join the community and Facebook group at businessstraightedup.com/community. Thank you so much for being here today, Katlynn. Do you have any words that you want to share or encouragement before we end today's episode?
I will end with my favorite. That is be brave, not perfect. And believe in community.
Okay, wait, I gotta write that down.
Yes. Be brave, not perfect.
I love that.
Yes. It's from my favorite book by Reshma Saujani. It's Girls Who Code is the founder. And it's the name of her book, Be Brave, Not Perfect. It will change your life.
I love that. I've never heard of that book. I actually run Boss Book Club, and we have a huge list of books that we want to get through, and I've never heard that. So I will absolutely make a note of that. For anyone listening, be brave, not perfect. I love that. We might have to, I make bracelets out of things. But I see them. So that might have to go on a bracelet. It is time for all my listeners, everyone listening, to start stepping into that CEO role in your business, to look at the bigger picture of your business and marketing so that you can grow and not only be profitable, but sustainable too. I cannot wait to see what you do with your business. You have the power to impact the world, and I'm so excited to see what you do with it. Have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you, Katlynn.
Thanks, Brooke. Have a great day.
Thank you so much for joining me today and listening in. You can find all of the show notes for this and every episode over at boldwithbrooke.com/podcast, where you can also find all of the links or resources mentioned. I can't wait to work with you. Have an amazing rest of your day.